Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Here's what we have. We have a situation where we have a lack of communication with a 6-page contract. Yeah, right? That's funny. In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Jonathan Larkin claims he was fined repeatedly for waste left behind by his dogs on walks with their dog walker. Mr. Larkin is suing George Sales in the amount of $600. Mr. Sales claims that he's paid to walk the dogs, not clean up after them.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All praise and sworn, Your Honor.
There, good Deputy Thomas. All right, so we're talking about dog poop.
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened? The poop wasn't cleaned up, and now you're suing for it.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm suing George Sales for $600 for 2 separate citations I received for dog waste that my dogs apparently had left on the sidewalk.
And who did you receive the citations from, sir?
I live in a gated community.
All right, so like the HOA or the...
Yeah, the HOA, whoever runs the show.
All right. And you have how many dogs?
I have 2 beautiful border collies,
Okay.
Sasha and Ollie. They're
Sasha and Ollie.
beautiful, beautiful. Yes, and I hired George to walk my dogs for me.
Are the dogs hugging each other?
They're hugging each other.
Oh, you're killing me, Larry. And their names are Sasha and Ollie.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Which one's the black one?
The black one is Sasha.
You've had these dogs, and you're living in this
I'm living in an
location.
apartment. I divorced my wife. My wife got the dog. I moved into this gated community that allows dogs, knowing that I would get 2 dogs to keep me, happy and not alone. So I was home for...
You got a divorce from your wife, and you didn't want to be alone, and she got the family dog.
She got the family dog. She needed it more... Well, she got the family dog, let's put it that way. So I wanted to have dogs. I didn't want my one dog to be alone, so I got 2. So I hired George. I interviewed several companies. I hired George. Main reason being that my dogs took an instant liking to him.
And sir, Mr. Sales, you actually do this professionally.
Right. This is my business.
How long have you been doing it, sir?
I've been doing it since I was 15, so about 8 years now.
And then you turned it into a business.
Right.
And what do you provide specifically in terms of service?
I'm I've done a lot of research into dog health and dog care, so I know how to do this job as a professional rather than as I was before as a teenager.
Right. And the issue, though, is that we're dealing with, nobody's cleaning up the waste when the dogs are being walked.
Right.
And you have this expertise. You don't understand the concept of picking up poop?
Oh, of course I do. For most of my clients, I do pick up the poop.
Just him.
Waste.
You don't pick up after Sasha and Ollie?
I'm a private contractor. So at the beginning, I go through a contract, and we fill it out and sign it.
Does anyone have a contract
Yes,
here?
I have it right here.
I'd like to see that, please. And Mr. Larkin, you're not disputing that you signed a contract with Mr. Sales?
No, Your Honor. I was very impressed with this contract, as a matter of fact. Just the verbiage.
I mean, just to walk a dog is one.
Now, if you look on the last
2,
page, you'll see
3,
that he did...
4, 5, 6 pages of contract.
As a private contractor, I have to be careful so that I don't get sued.
So much for that, huh?
That's working well.
No, but I'm looking, and it is very thorough. You go through the names of the dogs. You ask for the veterinary information, any major medical conditions, medications. If we have all these terms and conditions, is there a term on here that talks about dog poop?
So the last page, if you will look, which there are some boxes checked. So
are we talking about the last page and the last item on that page?
The last 3, yes.
It says service requested.
Correct.
Daily walks, Monday through Friday, day of the week, Monday through Friday. You have that checked.
Correct.
Right.
There's no disagreement about that.
No,
Your Honor.
The next box says daily potty breaks, Monday through Friday, including pet waste removal. And then you have other service.
Correct.
What is it that I'm missing?
This is where, in my opinion, we get into the problem, is because there is a box there that says potty breaks.
Right.
To me, in my mind, a potty break is if George came to the home, opened the door, let my dogs out in the backyard, they did a quick whip-de-doo, did their business, came back in.
Woo! Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you know, they're very happy. Everything is done in joy and bliss. That would be a potty break. To me, when you walk a dog, you're walking the dog. Whatever happens while you're on the walk is the responsibility of the dog walker. Oftentimes, the dog will leave its little treats behind. Plenty of every corner.
I love the way you're phrasing all of this.
Well, we're in court,
but it's very
I
colorful.
would use a different...
And you know what? What you're saying makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You're not interpreting it that way.
There are certain exceptions. In this neighborhood, there are no like doggy bags, so I have to bring my own. So that's part of it. But the most important part is in certain neighborhoods, they'll hire companies. The neighborhood as a whole will hire a company to come through and
You ought to
clean
have
up.
a conversation about whether or not that neighborhood hires people, or what are we doing in terms
When
of...
I'm not requested to pick up the waste, I assume that there is a company or some kind of reason for that.
When people use that word assume, it's such a fascinating word, because you don't assume, which is why you've got 6 pages. Now, if it was just a one-page thing and you hand wrote it out, then I'd say, okay. But you have really gone through this, and I'm paying you a compliment. It just seems like something as critical as when the dog is walked, who is responsible for the waste, would be specific.
Coming up on America's Court.
Here's what we have. We have a situation where we have a lack of communication with a 6-page contract. Yeah, right?
I understand.
That's funny.
And later,
This is something that she has created, and you are taking what she has created and taking them to market and then underbidding her.
closed captioning provided by... If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Jonathan Larkin, who is suing George Sales for $600.
How did we get to a point where you were actually fined? Because clearly the dog was out.
So
How did they know that it was your dog? Was someone watching them? Or?
In my community, they DNA test every dog. If you're a dog owner, they test your dog for DNA. Then they will find the lowly waste pile sitting all alone unattended, and they will test that waste.
Well, wait, how did they get your dog's DNA?
They swab my Ollie and Sasha's mouth and get a DNA sample.
Well, you were present when that happened, right?
Yes.
You knew the purpose for that?
Yes.
Swabbing?
Yes, sir. Yes,
They
sir.
told you in the lease.
Yes.
We're swabbing the dogs because we want to make sure that they're picked up after.
Every dog owner is responsible to their own dog and their own dog's master.
Did you ever communicate that to Mr. Sales? These dogs are swabbed, and if their waste is left out, I can be fined. Did you ever have that conversation with him?
I honestly do not recall. I thought I had, Your Honor, but I don't want to assume after hearing that.
Because if you didn't have that conversation with him, how would he know that?
Here we go back to the assume. But any dog walker, to me, would pick up after the dog. If you look on the second box, it says potty break in parentheses and waste cleanup. Well, I wouldn't expect him to clean up my dog's waste from the yard.
Wait a minute.
I would have
Do
hoped.
some people expect you to clean up the dog waste in their own yard?
Yes, if you look on the second box says potty breaks. So if they tell me outside or when I'm walking.
Does everyone have their dog walked that use your services?
Mostly. Some people I just come and let their dogs out.
Because if they're at work and they're like, the dog needs to get out,
Yeah.
you have a key. Your job is to come, let the dog get some air, exercise. That you pick up after the waste, you bring them back in, you lock the door, you leave.
Right. I'm paid by $20 an hour, so it just depends. If I charge the same rate, it's not like I charge a certain fee for walking.
You would have charged him extra if he said, pick up after the waste.
I charge $2 extra just to pay for the bags.
Okay.
And that's per week.
I get it. And then I take it that they found some dog poop and they did a DNA test and it came back to your dogs?
They DNA tested. So, yeah, I've been through it. My dogs are happy. Everyone's happy. George has been doing a great job. Then I get these tickets in the mail. I'm thinking, well, what the heck is this? And I look and I'm thinking, oh, I forgot they DNA tested my dog. Apparently my dog's waste was left on the sidewalk. I know I never do that. I'm very responsible. I have bags stuck to my leash.
Because sometimes you do actually take the dogs out
Oh,
yourself.
yeah, the dogs are with me all the weekend. And only if I'm not home. I spend as much time with them as possible.
Okay.
But George has been a great
And
asset.
you don't want to pay because you feel as though that should be monies that...
Come on. Yes, I do feel that that is... I wouldn't have... $2 extra? Sure, here's $2 extra for I had hoped that you would pick up after the dog when you walked.
There's that word again.
Hoped, yeah. So, like I said, I don't dispute his contract. I'm very impressed with George. He's loving with the dogs, everything like that. It's just, I was kind of trying to help him learn a little bit of a lesson, you know, reword your contract.
Here's what we have. We have a situation where we have a lack of communication with a 6-page contract. Right?
I understand.
That's funny. That here we are trying to figure out from 6 pages, and all we're talking about is walking a dog. In your mind, you're thinking it's one way. In your mind, you're thinking it's the other way. Who bears the burden of making sure that the contract is clear?
I do.
Boom goes the dynamite. Because you wrote it.
Right.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel must come down in favor of the plaintiffs. And I know you all are from Arizona, and I believe you're from Tempe. And
Right.
I was reading about how that's all the rage in Tempe and other states where they're swabbing the dogs, and they're because people are like, we are sick of cleaning up, and it's toxic, and it's smelly, and it's unseemly, and so people want to do something about it. And more cities are going to be doing this, which is even more reason, 23-year-old, who I'm very impressed with, you want to make sure that's clear. All right? You will have to pay that $600. It's a tough lesson, but you'll be fine. That is the order. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $600.
My heart goes out to George, but had his contract been clearer, I would have been happy to pay the extra $2.
In the future, I'm going to make sure that my contracts are much more clear. I'm not going to assume that my customers understand it. I'm going to make sure they do.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
This is something that she has created, and you are taking what she has created and taking them to market and then underbidding her.
Closed captioning provided by... This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Sonia Dills claims she lost wages when the defendant grew and sold her patented peppers. Ms. Dills is suing homemaker Lily Stein in the amount of $4,200. Ms. Stein claims the plaintiff's vine creeped over onto her soil, and once the peppers started growing, she cultivated, harvested, and sold them at the market.
We're suing over your peppers.
Yes, you're right.
Those must be some really good peppers.
It's amazing. You have to taste it sometime.
And you actually created the seed for these peppers.
Yes, from 7 different other seeds.
And
it's called purple peppers. It's purple in color, and it looks very beautiful.
I'll take a look.
It to you.
And Ms. Stein, Ms. Dills is saying that you have somehow gotten a hold of these peppers, and now you're benefiting from them.
No, that's not true. No.
I love the purple color, and are all of these the same type of pepper, or
it's slightly different. The purple is slightly distinctive, and you can't find it in any grocery store anywhere.
And you, from what I recall, spent some time actually exhausting this process where you had a patent specifically on these peppers.
Yes, the first thing when me and my husband, we moved here, we got a patent.
And you are from India?
Yes.
Okay. You and your husband moved here, yes.
A couple of years ago, and we got this patent, and about 6 months we moved in the same neighborhood as Mrs. Lily lives.
And I'll take a look at yours as well. And the proximity from her property line to your property line, is there some sort of adjoining wall?
No, there's a slight bricks and a fence. It just doesn't crawl over. You have to pull it in.
No, you don't. No,
Wait a minute.
You don't.
This
That's
is
not true.
Are these your peppers on one side of this gate?
Yes.
Are you on your property line when you took this picture?
Yes.
All right. Well, this picture is showing that on one side the peppers are growing on the other side. And your position is if they grow on my side of this fence or gate, they're mine.
coming up on America's Court.
This is something that she has created, and you are taking what she has created and taking them to market and then underbidding her.
Closed captioning provided by This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Sonia Dills, who is suing homemaker Lily Stein for $4,200.
You are now seeing the peppers that you patented and created growing on her property.
Yes.
And what are you doing with these peppers once they grow?
Well, I mean, they were on my property and they were growing, and I knew that she was going to the farmer's market and selling these peppers for a lot of money. And personally, I'd like to make a little money too. So I
Let's all make some money off some peppers.
She's been selling for $1. Of course, they're going to go over and buy at your place.
Well, wait a
was
minute.
probably
You were
charging too
taking
much.
these peppers to the farmer's market, and you were selling them for how much?
$2.50 per pepper and 10 for 20. And she's selling it for $1, and all my hard work just goes down the drain because she sells it for $1.
But this is
Now you realize, Ms. Stein, that she's created these peppers, that she is trying to pursue this as a business venture. And it just so happens that because it's growing on your side, you are now taking from something that she has built and nurtured. You don't see any issue with that?
No, well, I mean, I didn't know there was such a thing as a patent on a pepper, on pepper seeds.
Well,
I mean,
once you
never
knew
heard of
that, that means that this is something that she has created, and you are taking what she has created and taking them to market and then underbidding her.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the defendant.
What?
I'm going to have to dismiss your case. I'm going to dismiss it without prejudice. And the reason for that is because you're talking about a patent infringement. Things involving trademark, intellectual property, and copyright. Those matters must be handled in a federal court. Now, having said that, federal court is expensive, it's time-consuming, and that's a challenge. Having said that, because again, I dismissed it without prejudice, there's a case called Bowman versus Monsanto, Ms. Stein. And the U.S. Supreme Court a couple of years ago sided in favor of the person who had the patent for seeds. But we're not talking $4,200. We're talking substantial amounts of money. You may want to consider working this out before she takes you to the next level.
I understand.
That is the order. Case closed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
My neighbor knows that she stole my pepper, and now I have to take it to a higher court.
I am very pleased with the judge's decision, obviously, but I've learned my lesson.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter with Judge Ross. This has been
You wanted to be a banana? That was all
No,
they had.
that was actually my girlfriend. We dressed up as a couple. She went as a sexy monkey. I went in with a banana, costume. So it was a duo thing.
Okay, that is hilarious. In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Arnold Garibay claims his Halloween costume was damaged in the defendant's haunted house. He's suing his cousin, William Garibay, in the amount of $300. Mr. William Garibay claims he's not at fault.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Third, get Deputy Thomas. Really, we suing over a Halloween costume? That's
Yeah.
what this is about?
I think it's a little bit more than that,
I
sir.
think it is a little bit more than that. You guys are cousins, right? Mr. Garibay and this cousin Garibay, and you guys have been going at it since you were how old? 4?
Yeah, about as long as I can remember. He's always been the same.
What is the deal? I mean, your family. What's the issue?
Well, it's his dad and, you know, that side of the family. They're very superficial. They've always been very competitive. Everything that they do is just ridiculous. Every year they have this Halloween haunted house. And
What's so ridiculous about that?
well, they go all out.
And if you don't like it, why are you showing up in a costume?
It's Halloween. I show up in a costume.
Okay, so then you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, they're so ridiculous, and they just go way out, and they're superficial, and you right up in the club, as they say.
No. But
Right?
they get really into it, and we're there to support them. I mean,
Okay.
that's why I went, and I didn't even want to go, but
Had
you
you
know,
been before?
Yes.
All right.
I've been several times.
Several times.
Yeah, they do it every year.
Okay.
He loves it.
It's got a little hateration going on
just
over here, huh?
No.
This time he just happened to mess up and ruin his costume, and now he's trying to put it on me.
Your fault. Yeah, actually, it's your fault.
It's his fault that you got dressed up and you were a banana, right?
Yeah, I
Is that
wore
the costume?
bands. Yes, it is.
Let's see it.
And this is where it got messed up, and it doesn't even come out. I try to clean it.
Okay, let me see it all the way.
Yeah.
I would love to see proof that this costs $300.
I
I have the receipt. Thank
hold
you.
on. Okay, are you in my head? The $300 is for what?
For the costume.
For that?
Yes.
Are you for real?
Yes. It was last minute.
Deputy Thomas, let me see that.
You want to see that?
Let me see that.
I'm not putting it on, but you can see it.
Oh, go on.
Actually, it kind of would fit.
Hey, let me see. Let me feel it. You have proof that it cost $300?
Yes, I have it right here.
Really? You
Yes.
overpaid.
I have the receipt.
You got ripped off.
Yeah, let me see that receipt. Because, I mean, that's just not even any substantive material. This is you in the banana costume.
Yeah, those are a couple pictures. Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
I'm looking at this thing. I cannot believe that you paid $300 for this.
Well, yeah, it was last minute, Your Honor. I went out to the specialty store and
Got hustled.
anyway, so I went out to the specialty store.
Well, wait, the Halloween's because it's on the 31st, right?
Yeah.
You went the day before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's why the cost is so high.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
when you wait till
definitely
last minute, and you wanted to be a banana, that was all
No,
they had.
that was actually my girlfriend. We dressed up as a couple. She went as a sexy monkey. I went in with a banana, costume. So it was a duo thing.
Okay, that is hilarious.
That is funny.
But he couldn't handle himself.
Not just a monkey, a sexy monkey. Oh, you're killing me, Larry.
Yeah,
all right,
have good taste.
The $15, you tried to get it clean and it wouldn't come out.
Yeah, it didn't come out. That's
All right.
after they charged me.
And then
everything.
this says hazardous waste. Was this part of the garage of horror,
part of the
if
haunted
you will?
house.
Because I know that I'm seeing it more and more that people are using their homes and families go from, instead of just trick-or-treating, they go into the garages and they have scary things, and that's what you guys did.
Yeah.
And how long you been doing that?
Since I was 8 years old, we started doing it, so about 16 years.
And every year it gets bigger and bigger?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
every year
ridiculous.
We like to do it for the whole neighborhood. Everybody loves it. You know,
It's
it gets,
ridiculous,
It gets,
huh?
Yeah.
Okay, said the banana.
Coming up on America's Court.
He called me a chicken.
And if he wasn't
He was
drunk-
wrong. He should have called you a banana.
And later,
You were able to ascertain that 60 cats didn't have fleas. You checked each of them.
There was not scratching when I left.
Yes,
And-
I gave
Stop.
60 cats.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Arnold Garibay, who is suing William Garibay for property damage.
What happened in this situation? Because there was something involving some blood. That I take it was a prop for the actual event.
It was just one of the props inside. You know, there was a barrel of fake blood, and it was all
that's
lit
not real
on
blood.
No, that's
not.
not.
What is that?
It's corn syrup with food
Okay,
dye.
you should be able to get that out, unless it's just something about that fabric that it just won't.
It's not. It didn't come out. I tried. I even took it to the cleaners. Nothing.
All right.
I can't even do it.
Why is it your cousin's responsibility if you willingly went into a horror house at his home, knowing that it's scary and you could be, you know, surprised or something could happen foreseeable? Didn't you assume that risk?
Well, every year it gets bigger and bigger, but they don't change location. It's still in a small garage, and it just gets bigger and bigger. So every year it gets more crammed.
Okay.
And as I'm going through, it's like it's built for little kids and only little kids. And I think he did it on purpose.
But there you are.
If he wasn't
right, but he was egging me on the whole time.
If
he was calling me a chicken, calling me a wuss, trying to embarrass me in front of family and friends. So I go through it, but before I go through it, you know, I see him coming out the back, so I think he did it on purpose, because there's no way that barrel should be sticking out that far.
That is ridiculous.
He called me a chicken.
And if he wasn't
He was
drunk,
wrong. He should have called you a banana.
No,
And why would you be so bothered by that? If he's so superficial and they're ridiculous, why would you care?
I'm just tired of it. It's ever since we were little.
If
He's
you're
always been so
tired of it,
competitive.
why do you keep showing up?
It's a family thing. I had to support him. I didn't even want to go.
You don't.
I didn't
You
even
can
want to
say,
go. My
I'm
parents
tired
made me
of
go.
it. I'm going to go to, you all here in Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
You could have gone to Knoxbury Farm.
He's my cousin. You know, there's a little bit of a friendship there, too.
I got it.
But
I got it.
Every time
We are not here about this $300. I said that from the beginning. I just needed to understand what this was about. And ultimately, so you went through the house and you fell over this prop or something? Is that what happened?
a barrel of fake blood.
No. So I go through, and I was the first one. He does this thing for the whole day. He's got people going through, and I was, I guess, his run dummy. And I think he did it on purpose, actually, because right before I go in, he comes out the back. And he's laughing, and then he starts egging me on.
I was in there securing all the props, making sure
All right,
it was
well, you
safe.
can see, so what was it about the blood that would have prevented you from seeing it to avoid falling over it?
It's really dark in there, and
a
you know, I
haunted
have
house.
my costume on.
He
What's
was
that?
drunk.
No, I wasn't. I had a couple of drinks, but same amount as he did.
I think he
There's
had
nothing
some.
there.
Okay.
I think he had some in the car on
I
the
get
way
it.
over.
I get it.
No, and there's no
We're
way.
not
We
going
went shot for shot.
to solve this issue between the two of you because there's something else going on here. But you're here to say to me, your cousin, this man, should pay you because you willingly went through a haunted house in a banana outfit at night after having consumed alcohol. And because you tripped and something damaged it, it's his responsibility.
Well, he did it on purpose.
I got it. He does everything on purpose.
Yeah, you should hang it straight out of his mouth.
You're a grown man.
No,
I mean,
even last year, they threw a pumpkin at my head.
We're not doing this. Based on the evidence and testimony before this court, the guy was going to come down in favor of the defendant. You assume the risk.
Well, if I walk into a grocery
We're
store
not
and
having a
mopping,
conversation about it. I'm explaining to you what the ruling is. Because we're not here about this. What you're going to have to decide is, are you going to continue to be around someone? Sometimes family has to be kicked to the curb. If you're not around people who are affirming and uplifting and making you feel special and making you feel wanted and making you feel appreciated and you enjoy their company and they enjoy yours, if you're not around those folks, cut them off.
I'm happy to cut him off after this.
Good. Let's start today. Your matter's dismissed. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is dismissed.
Well, I'm glad I don't have to pay for his banana costume, but I'm sorry it's come to him ending the relationship over childhood resentments.
I can't believe the judge didn't give me back the money for the banana costume. But as far as my cousin goes, I'm done with him.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
I arrived home on the Sunday. The cats were scratching. There was vomit. There was pee and diarrhea everywhere.
When she got there.
No, it was not.
Closed captioning provided by This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Plaintiff Erica Hanley claims she's owed $3,000 for taking care of 60 cats owned by the defendant. Defendant Francine Cassidy claims one of her cats died while in the plaintiff's care, so she owes her nothing.
All parties be sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. All right, so, Ms. Cassidy, I'm sorry to hear about your cat.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I am a big dog person, not so much a cat person, but I think you also lost a dog recently.
I did, sir, and also my mother.
And I know you lost your mom as well.
Yes.
A lot of loss.
Yes, indeed.
That's tough.
It was hard.
You and Miss Hanley have a relationship.
Yes. Erica had worked for my family business in pool installation for several years.
Right.
She came on board as my personal assistant.
And now she's suing you for the $3,000 that she feels you owe her because you didn't pay her after sitting and watching your home and your cats for quite a period of time.
After she'd left the business, I approached her personally and asked
She
her...
wasn't working with you at the time?
No.
And why did you leave, Miss Hanley?
I wanted to start my own business. I'm doing consulting. I have my own clients now.
Okay. And so how long had you been, I'm sorry, you may have said this, how long had you been with Miss Cassidy?
5 years.
For 5 years. And how would you describe the relationship?
You know, I was closer to her parents.
It was a family business?
It was a family business.
Mm-hmm.
She and I got along pretty well. I would say that it was more a professional kind of arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
But she did ask me to help out while she tended to her mother, and I stepped in.
Because there was an issue, your mom has since passed, but at the time she was going down in terms of her health condition.
I had gone to visit my mother in Oregon. She was very unwell, and I asked Erica if she could mind my cats for me while I was away.
And initially the stay was supposed to be how long, Miss Hanley?
10 days.
10 days.
It was 10 days.
Which turned into 15, which turned into 30.
Coming up on America's Court.
She got down on the ground,
I
rolling
can only
around.
hear one person at a time.
Go ahead.
Hold on a moment. You don't run things up in here.
You're right.
Closed captioning provided by... This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Erica Hanley, who is suing her former friend for $3,000.
You needed to leave the state.
Yes.
And she stayed at your home and tended to the cats.
Yes, that's right.
Right. And you knew she had cats. And you were
I
okay
knew
with...
that she had, I believe she mentioned 20 plus. When I got there, there were, I think I lost count after 60.
Okay, so yes, let's talk about that.
There was feces and vomit and urine all over the house when I arrived. I had to basically transport bags of dirty litter to other parts of the community, dispose of it so that other members wouldn't know that all of these cats are being housed. And this wasn't told to me before I took on this job.
I came home on the Sunday.
After 30 days?
After 30 days. We had been speaking
feeding,
all the time. She
cleaning,
never told me.
Changing litter boxes.
For $100 a day.
Okay.
And she had never said during any of that time that any of the cats were sick. I arrived.
Because they weren't sick.
They are full. Your Honor, my cats had fleas, which no doubt you bought into the house.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Wait, stop. You said
They did not have fleas when I left.
You were able to ascertain that 60 cats didn't have fleas. You checked each of them.
There was not scratching when I left.
Yes,
And-
I gave 60 cats fleas.
Wow. The cat died. Your response to her is she brought fleas
The cat.
to your cat.
The
Is
cat-
that what caused the one cat to die?
I'm trying to think of the sequence of events. When I arrived home on the Sunday, the cats were scratching. There was vomit. There was pee and
That's what I
diarrhea
wrote.
That was
everywhere.
there when she got there.
No,
I
it was
spent
not.
most of the time cleaning
It
a
was
lot of that
not.
stuff up.
Look at
I was so excited that she was coming back that I did extra laundry for her.
Because you were like, I'm ready to go.
I was ready to get the heck out of there.
All right.
So when she got back,
I gave her the check.
I can only hear one person
She
at a
got
time.
down on the ground,
I
rolling
can only
around.
hear one person at a time.
Go ahead.
Hold on a moment. You don't run things up in here.
You're right.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
And I think about 60 cats and you trying to, corral these and lasso these cats. The fact of the matter is this particular cat had meaning to her. The cat died. She lost her dog. She lost her mother. There's a lot of loss going on.
That's what I'm thinking.
So in response to that, I understand why she's a little emotional. Okay. Now, what is this blood work and pathology result?
As soon as I came home that Sunday, I had to take 4 of the cats to the veterinarian because they were so sick.
I'm talking about the one that passed away. It says heart muscle disease.
Yes,
What does that mean?
a heart attack.
The cat had a heart attack.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other one is for the other cats that I had to have seen to because she'd not followed the instructions with the food, and so with the wrong food,
That's
then they
not
became
true.
sick.
So let's assume for the sake of this discussion that these $2,000 worth of expenses and change are warranted. That still leaves a balance of monies that you could pay her. Why haven't you paid her anything?
I couldn't believe the neglect of for 30 days caring for them and not telling me that they were sick. She didn't even care. She didn't even notice that they were sick.
Okay. If someone is not the actual caregiver of these animals, and there's so many of them, it would be unreasonable for her to be able to identify that this one particular cat of 60 is having some sort of health issue. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel will come down in favor of the plaintiff in this case. You will pay her the $3,000. She did a service for you. It doesn't go down like that. You would pay her that $3,000. That is the order. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay her $3,000.
I know that Francine is grieving, and I'm sorry for her losses. She asked me to do a job, and I did do the best that I could.
But my cats were neglected, and I felt that I needed to stand up for their suffering.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.